Hello, 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 hello. Alrighty, we are officially live on YouTube. Um, for those of you that don't already know me, my name is Ron Parker. I'm a futures trader. I've been trading since 2018. I've traded stocks, options, forex, binary options, all sorts of things. And 2018, I started doing that, developing skills over the last 2 years. I've been working full time trading futures. I love trading the NASDAQ. I love trading gold, silver, crude oil. The metals have been hot and awesome to trade early this year, late last year. Um, Today, we are covering episode 2 of the series where we go from zero to hero. I teach a complete beginner trader who's never traded before how to read the charts, how to trade. You'll learn the lingo, you'll learn all the stuff you need to learn to become a successful trader here bit by bit. Today, we're going to cover a very important topic, but before we do, I got to give you a quick disclosure. So, you should be seeing a disclosure screen. Remember that I am not responsible for your financial decisions and to trade responsibly. So, without further ado, share my screen. Perfect. So today we are covering VWAP. VWAP is the volume weighted average price, and it really works as an excellent view of who's in control over the day. What is the average or fair price of the asset we're watching? It tells us so much information just with one line on the screen. I honestly think that if I could only have one indicator on my screen, you've probably heard this before, but VWAP would be the one. VWAP is the single and sole indicator. If I could have any or only one, absolutely going to choose VWAP hands down any day. So, what's it all about? So, volume weighted average price. So, as the day goes on, this purple line on my screen is the VWAP that we're referring to right now. So, we're going to be talking all about this purple line on the screen today. Make sure you guys can see that, okay? Perfect. Drag it over a little bit. My giant logo's in the way. Okay, so the purple line is what we're going to be talking about. VWAP, volume weighted average price. It's a fair value line for the session, okay? Institutions often use it for execution. So honestly, you see large order flow coming through when we're expanding away from VWAP. Essentially, right as they loaded up the ship, we're starting to sail that ship away, and it's essentially things are moving. Institutions have already gotten in well before the move, and a lot of times we're using VWAP to get in early on new trends. Okay, so institutions often use it for fair execution. It resets every trading day. So some of you might wonder. Actually, it's such a common question. Let me show you. There, you'll have VWAP on your screen, and you'll notice right as market's closing and the session's over, it just drops like a rock, right? That's because it's resetting for the next trading day. Now, there is a pro little tip to use day 2 VWAP. This is a good example. When we had such good separation, you should consider using the day 2 VWAP, which is essentially where it should have left off, in considering when you're taking trades here, when you're considering taking trades here. You should consider using the 2-day VWAP, which is essentially a continuation of that prior VWAP line. Okay, because it resets every session, you're essentially getting VWAP is a little less accurate at this time because VWAP is calculating by when it reset. So if it resets right here, there's really not much data in these few candles to give it enough information to give you a fair value price besides just that price action alone. Okay, so why VWAP matters and how do we use it? I'm going to get to a good spot on the screen just to show a really prime, great visual example of why we use VWAP. Why does it matter? So VWAP acts like a magnet for price. And I think this screen screams that to me. Again, making sure you can see it. Perfect. This is a new overlay for me. New channel, new to YouTube, so subscribe and like, by the way. I would love to reach more people with my videos here. And to do that, I'm counting on people like you to like and share. So, and subscribe. Why does VWAP matter? It acts like a magnet. So check this out, okay? The entire morning, and this was Tuesday on the 9th, 2026, June 29th, June 9th, 2026. And on this day, you can see that we had an open here where the blue line, the blue area on the screen transitions to black. So this like divider tells me when the market opens. So the US market opens, and we've got this trend that's stair-stepping down lower away from VWAP. And as we're doing that, you'll notice that as we get too far extended from VWAP, so the distance is so great that we actually start to, when things start to fail and steam is lost on this downtrend, where are we going to go? It's very likely that we could go back to VWAP at some point. It doesn't always go straight back to VWAP either, but if you align yourself with the trend, the broader trend, which we'll cover in another video, you can also increase the odds of trades like this working out, where you can take the backside to VWAP. So VWAP acts like a magnet. Price barreled lower, simply put, barreled lower for the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day, we crawled back up to VWAP. So VWAP really acts as a magnet. It's the fair value, okay? So ideally, most of the larger traders in the space, they want to get most of their size near VWAP, okay? So anytime price is typically coming back into VWAP, think of it as like price resetting. It's reloading. People are loading up the boat before it ships out. So it helps us identify a daily bias for direction. So clearly put, if we're below and holding cleanly below VWAP with nice structure, we obviously should only be taking shorts until the reversal's in officially. So for me, to define that, this portion here, all of this gave me the green light to go short. We're holding cleanly below VWAP, so thus shorts are the preference until price either gets too far away from VWAP and we start to snap back to it, or that reversal is in some shape or manner. Okay? And the opposite is true when we're holding above VWAP. When we're above VWAP, price is above this purple line, right? When we're above VWAP, the buyers are in control. It simply means that there's more buyers than sellers. And the slope of the VWAP tells us too, when more buyers are jumping in and participating as it starts to really gain a slope. So for example, anywhere above this VWAP, I'm looking for long continuation trades. I'm looking to buy. It's not like you can't ever short below VWAP or above VWAP, I mean, but you need to be very careful about doing so. And until you have actual facts that we're coming back to VWAP, you know, and you're reading all the signs to tell us so, you need to be careful, because the direction is clearly telling us to trade with the VWAP. So when price is below it, we trade it short. When price is above VWAP, we go long. Simple enough. The plot thickens though. There's a twist. You can't just blindly follow that. And I think that's what trips up a lot of new traders, is they just blindly follow longs only above VWAP or shorts only below. You can't do that only, because at some point we're likely coming back to VWAP. Let me give you an example here. Here's just another random example of this, okay? We've got a drive higher away from VWAP. Buyers clearly in control. All of this area should have been buying only. Okay? As we got too far extended away from VWAP, you can see price started to hit this ceiling. and gave us a clear level to trade against. As long as price is holding below that level and we're starting to see this breakdown, we can get that back to VWAP trade because VWAP acts like a magnet. Okay? So imagine price does this over and over and over in the market. We have the extension away from VWAP and the back to VWAP. That move, it's just repeated throughout the day, throughout the month, throughout the weeks. You'll see this all over the place. Extension from VWAP back to VWAP. And remember, VWAP resets. So it's sometimes helpful to use the continuation of day 2 VWAP, which I'm going to mark here in red. This is such a clean example of this too, where all of these traders that started trading in these after hours, they got reset on VWAP. And yes, they followed it and they could take these short trades, but where did it hold up? Well, it held up very cleanly after it checked 2-day VWAP. So for traders waiting for this short to end and to take a long, the continuation trade was right here. This was a clear entry signal on the reversal at 2-day VWAP. So be mindful of that 2-day VWAP. It's kind of an advanced part of VWAP, and I think so many people probably don't even know about that, but it's there and you should track it. Okay, so away from and back to. I'm just going to show you some more examples. Away from VWAP, back to VWAP. If you can just identify and practice which side we're on, are we on the front side of the move or are we on the back side of the move? And of course, this is upside down, right? This is, short first and then longs after, but it works the same on the other way. We have the extension from VWAP and the back to VWAP. If you can identify these two cycles alone, you can be very successful because you're going to be on the right side of the trade a lot more often. Your win rate's going to go through the roof just following this process of away from and back to VWAP. So if you're not viewing the market like this, you should highly consider doing so. What else? VWAP has so much to offer. The in-between. So you might be thinking, well, what about when price is near VWAP or wrapping around it? This is a great example. Do you see how this entire area, VWAP is flat, it's horizontal. We've got a flat VWAP. We got the EMA wrapping around it like spaghetti. Price action just zooming around the VWAP. There's no clear directional bias. Maybe we got a few minutes of clarity here and there for those scalpers out there, right? But there's no clean trend to this price action. And I would define this as the in-between. It's not the away from VWAP. It's not the back to VWAP. This is VWAP chop. Some people refer to bar coding. I call it chop city. I like to avoid taking trades when we're trading and wrapping around VWAP. To me, the sign of strength is when we're clearly holding VWAP, like this after-hours session here, where price is clearly separated. There's a gap between VWAP and the price, and it's holding above that, respecting VWAP the entire way. So it almost acts like a support and resistance. Okay, if price is so far above and holding VWAP, we're looking for continuation until we see otherwise. So until we see a clear breakdown away from VWAP, you can start taking these trades where you get these clear continuations in the direction of the trend. Now, obviously, you would want to get in earlier. That's what most traders are doing. They're taking these pieces here. The breaks of these levels are obvious to get into the trend early and ride out. And they're not experienced traders. They're not buying on all of these other, opportunities. Essentially, they might have gotten most of their size early on, and they might sell as we come into these consolidation areas and then rebuy afterwards. Or maybe they're just trailing this out, and as long as it's doing what they like, they're taking pieces off right in the momentum. So they're like, they do, plus 10 contracts here, for example, or 10 shares or whatever it might be, and they might be slowly closing out 2-4 contracts at a time as the move goes up, So think of that as like VWAP is it helps you identify trends early because you're starting to see when price is separating from VWAP, when VWAP's being super respected, when VWAP's got a clear incline or slope or decline if you're short. We stay away from the Chop City VWAP. It's just ranging around VWAP. Okay, so we get the extension away, and this is a good example too, where we had a clear bounce at VWAP. So there was support. Remember support and resistance. VWAP acted as support here, and we got a clear signal to buy. And as you can see, a lot of traders are jumping in on this, and they're actually scalping moves all the way up. And this example I wanted to share with you because we didn't actually get a back to VWAP trade that day. So you have to be mindful that just because we're extending away from VWAP doesn't mean that in this session you're going to get a back to VWAP. Honestly, this really held up pretty sideways and never came back to this VWAP for this session. Not from multiple days. So keep that in mind. It's a magnet, but it's not a for sure thing like, oh, price is trading towards the direction of VWAP. We're guaranteed to get a touch of it. That's not how it works. But you can use it as a dynamic support and resistance. And especially in the first hour or two of trading, you can really catch some awesome opportunity where you're seeing it visually act as support or resistance and confirm an early trend developing. So VWAP as a trade filter, we can use it to trade with the trend, meaning if we're looking at longs only, you can clearly define a good time to go long or buy when we're above VWAP and making higher highs and higher lows. When we're below VWAP, we have a short bias and we're looking for lower lows and lower highs. The opposite. Now, I recommend avoiding counter trend trades until you're more experienced. So we talked about that expansion away from and back to VWAP. Now, it's really important that we trade with the larger participants in the market. So we do need a way to define the trend and trade with that trend. Now, if you follow me and you are interested in learning how I define the trend, I will make another video sharing how to do that. Simply put, we use another time frame and a different chart to develop that bias or context, okay? And the reason I'm going over this is because you don't want to trade against that broader trend. If the higher time frame that we define our trend with is clearly bullish, then we need to only go long, and we only take trades above VWAP, preferably. This shows strength, okay? We only take trades in the direction of the larger trend. So for us, if we have a bullish bias on the 30-minute, this would be a clear sign for us to look for and initiate trades because we have the confidence that buyers are in control for this session. And then we just use our risk parameters, our strategy, our tools to actually capture profits with a well-structured trade. Okay. So I typically use it to confirm that higher time frame bias. Basically, if I go on the 30-minute, which I do before I trade anything, I go and look at the trend. If I say that we've got a bullish trend and I'm looking for longs only, this can help confirm my higher time frame bias. As I'm zooming in with the microscope onto this 2-minute chart, I then have a really clear plan to look for longs above VWAP preferably, and with momentum separating away from VWAP. You'll notice that we are getting continuation every opportunity we have here. There's a break of consolidation and it's resuming in the direction of the trend. Do you see these? So if you develop a long bias based on your how you define your trend, which I can teach you to do, watch more content, you can align yourself with the trend by figuring that out on the 30-minute. Then you zoom in on the 2-minute and you've got a clear way to define your bias. If I'm looking for longs only, prices above VWAP preferably, or strongly coming back to it if below. So it really helps you just align yourself with that broader trend. It's a really quick visual for me of who's in control of the session, what direction do I need to be trading. Now, common VWAP setups. Now, I don't want to go too much into this specifically because I'm not trying to teach anybody strategies per se, but just for example, VWAP can be used for reclaims. So for example, this portion here where price went below and reclaimed back above VWAP, that's a type of trade somebody might take using VWAP. They might use VWAP rejection as a way to trade VWAP. So let's see if we can find that. Here's one where price rejected away from VWAP and continued lower. A VWAP pullback, this could actually be identified as that too, but I'll give you a different example. Here earlier in the session, here's a pullback into VWAP that gave continuation, right? And then VWAP fading, which is a extreme move away from VWAP and then a snap back to it. That's actually more like that day that I was showing you here, where we had a really extreme trade away from VWAP, huge momentum, came in, driving the market lower, and then there's the back to VWAP trade here that played out. So there's a bunch of different ways VWAP can be used to be incorporated into your trading already. Whatever strategy you might already have developed, there's a chance that VWAP can help you increase your win rate and your risk to reward by better structuring trades around what the broader market's truly doing. Who's in control? Are we separating and continuing away from VWAP, or are we trading back to it? All right, let's see. VWAP and your strategy. So you can combine VWAP with previous day levels, EMA, pre-market highs and lows and such. And it's a really powerful tool. So you can use it to help you understand in combination with other levels, who's in control, where are we at, is there room for my trade? I'm going to show you how I mark those levels. My indicator automatically draws these out for me, but you can see the blue and white lines being plotted on the screen. So I can use VWAP in combination of these levels. Is VWAP also holding above these levels? Is VWAP sloping upwards or downwards? Is price above or below VWAP? It tells us so much. VWAP equals context, and context is everything. It's not an entry signal alone. You're not trading just because it touched it. You're not trading just because price is near it and you expect it to expand at some point. We use it for confirmation and context about who's in control, where they're going, and why. Entries should definitely come from structure around VWAP, not just, the touch of it like I was mentioning. You truly need to see price come into VWAP when it does, and a reason that we're separating away. So for example, into this pullback here into VWAP, you can see buyers clearly defended this. They stepped in a big way, right? And that's just one way to view structure around VWAP. Typically, I like to see things like higher highs and higher lows confirming the move after we're expanding away from or to VWAP. So this one's so easy to read, and ideally, I wish every day was like this. This is fantastic. But if you notice these stair-stepping patterns away from VWAP, that's what I like to look for. It's really confirming that there's a strong trend in play. So for me, I don't like to take trades at or near VWAP. I like to wait for confirmation in the direction of my bias, because I develop a bias based on the trend on the 30-minute. You'll learn all about it later. But I like to see the first higher high or higher low or structure being put in when it's crossing VWAP. So we had a cross below VWAP here, and then we saw this consolidation into the EMA, and then bam, continuation. And that to me is what I'm looking for. I'm not just trading because it crossed the EMA or crossed VWAP. I like to see the continuation after it crosses. Are we going to hold VWAP? Because to me, what's stopping it from just going away from VWAP and back right to it or through it? So I like to look for that confirmation that we're going to hold in that direction and not just come right back through VWAP. So that holding, that structure is what I personally like to look for. Okay, and remember to use context of the broader trend. I can't stress this enough, but though you could really trade off of the 2-minute or a smaller time frame without really developing that higher time frame bias, and you're trading what you're seeing on the screen as a scalper, I would like to layer in. I personally prefer to increase my edge or win rate by layering in the higher time frame direction. So again, we'll learn more about that later, but imagine if everybody's swimming in the pool one direction. You don't want to be swimming against all of those people, against the current, or trying to swim upstream, for example. You want the wind at your back. You want to be swimming with the stream and make its life so much easier. So that's what VWAP does for us, combined with the broader context of the trend. You can really develop a strong bias and direction, and with the right setup, you can take pieces of the market and profit from this. Remember to respect VWAP when it's flat and ranging. When we're around VWAP, especially like these areas here, this is no man's land. This is barcoding. This is Chop City. This is not what we participate in as traders. This is nonsense. Okay, we don't trade when we're chopping around VWAP. We want the clear trend away from VWAP. For example, like right in here. And you don't really know it until we get a clean break from VWAP and then a nice clean pullback and continuation. Typically, you want to see that on higher volume, especially when it's continuing. But that's a more advanced topic. We'll hit that up later. Okay, so wrapping things up. VWAP tells me who's in control. Price tells me when to act. VWAP tells me who's in control. Price tells me when to act. And that little mantra alone will take you so far. So if you don't already have VWAP on your screen, I highly recommend it. I would say it's a must-have for any intraday trader. Even swing traders will use this for identifying good areas to enter. Big institutional traders that are managing huge funds and hedge funds, all of these different types of traders are barreling in and getting interested because of VWAP. So VWAP represents the average price. We want a good price when we're buying or selling, right? You don't want to buy it when the price is really high just for it to come back down to the average really quick. You want to buy it at the average price. And when demand is really high and price is surging, you want to sell it, right? Makes sense. So hopefully that clicked for a lot of you. This was episode 2 of Zero to Hero on how I'm teaching people, new traders, to trade the markets and capture profits. So I hope you enjoyed this. I do have a Discord. Go check it out. Link in the description or in my social media. Also, we're a new channel, so subscribe, like, do all the things, comment. It's super helpful. I would love for more people to find me. If this was helpful to you, if you learned something, please let me know. Jump in the Discord. Tell me all about it. I'd be happy to listen. So it's very nice.